But out of the 27 constituencies in Greater Accra, it is only 8 of them which can be classified as a rural or a typical indigenous community whose vote pattern or voting decisions goes beyond just socioeconomic conditions, or they are guided by ethnocentric and party affiliation. Yes. And I can tell you that this region is continually going to be a swing region. It doesn't matter the propaganda you do. It doesn't matter how many media houses and media personnel you buy to do propaganda. The fact is that because people living here, lives are directly affected by economic policies and programs. Yes. Okay, they are obviously going to be driven by that in deciding whoever becomes their leader, and that is why parties that gets the opportunity to be in government must be mindful of their social contract that they had with the people in the previous elections. And I can tell you, from the look of things, I don't see, maybe perhaps in those 8 rural areas, incumbency and ethnocentric sentiments can perhaps preach the government. But we have 19 constituencies that are highly fluid. And I'm choosing my words here. Highly fluid. Okay. and from the political microscope, I can tell you, there is no way the NDC can beat us to it. Those 8 constituencies, I'm sure they may, even that. But with the remaining 19, I can tell you, the best you can get is about 3 or 4, and the remaining 15 or 16 going for the MPP.
They made
passing through a few hundred protocol tickets.
They made the Hajj pilgrimage a major campaign issue when we were in government. They made it a major campaign issue. And when they came into government, what did we see? 2 Hajj. The first Hajj, they said it was successful. The second Hajj, almost 1,000 people were left behind. And just last Hajj, almost 400 people were left behind. So now in the Zongos, even among themselves, they cannot even talk about Hajj. They cannot use the Hajj, to let the Muslims, for that matter, think they are better when it comes to management of Hajj. They are even worse off. I'm saying this on authority because I live in the biggest Zongo in Ghana, that is Nima for you. And people,
I always fear it's going to be a barometer of how the rest of the Zongos vote.
It cannot, because they have failed. And people are saying it already. They have failed. Do you know that when the Jeddah airport, anytime it's closed, there's no way it can be open. But during our time, it was open.
Yes.
It has never been opened before in the history of Hajj.
That's right.
Never, since Muhammad's time till date. But when I think about 300 or so pilgrims were left behind, Kufuor was out there in America. He just had to talk to the Prince of Saudi, and then they gave us the chance, and we airlifted them there. That thing has made the people in the Zongos to know that we are better when it comes to management of Hajj, because they have also failed by leaving a lot of pilgrims behind. So that one there is 1-1 draw.
Okay, you're welcome back, and the debate has already started in the studio before we even come on air with that. Haji, let me start with you. Yes, indeed, the NDC did make political capital out of the Hajj pilgrimage, but I mean something as sacred as the Hajj, a religious exercise at that. Did we need to bring in all this politics?
Well, first let me say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all your listeners, and a blessed Friday to you, especially the ones in Nima, Mamubi, Kanda and Ruga. Yes, indeed, for the benefit of the listeners, Hajj is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and it's the last one and the 5th pillar, in which, in fact, even in the Quran, Allah talks about liman istata'a alayhi sabila, meaning that it is to those who are able, physically and financially able to do so. Now, when you look at what has been happening with the Hajj in 2009, in 2010, and in 2011, Hajj is a very rigorous ritual, religious ritual that takes a lot of effort to do. So when you get there, you have to have people who know what they're doing. When you go there the first time, I've made Hajj myself.
That's why you have the Al-Hajj.
That's why I'm called Al-Hajj Haruna. I made the Hajj myself. It's very strenuous, and it's something that is very demanding, and that is why, in fact, the Saudis do not encourage people over the age of 70 going, because it takes a toll on you physically, mentally, and financially too. No, so in a case like this, what the government has done, and they need to be commended for this, what the government has done is they have 2 task forces. An international task force that is out there in Saudi Arabia to make sure that the accommodations are set up properly. So that
government, our government,
the NDC government, the Ghanaian government has made arrangements and has made sure that there's an international, task force in Saudi Arabia, and there's as well a local task force here in Accra, okay, and also in other various strategic areas within, Ghana, to make sure that the pilgrims are catered for in the places where they have to sleep, their luggage and everything from here to Saudi Arabia, from their arrival in Jeddah to Mina to all these other places that they have to go to. And for the first time in 2009, 2010, and also in 2011, no luggage has been lost when they were coming back, because we have a very meticulous and very well experienced people working, in this protocol to make sure that all those things have been done. Now, I've heard some reports, from the clip that you played from my very good friend Alhaji Fofana, whom I know very well. I too live in Nima, and I wonder what Zongo he's talking about. But if anything, I'm here to tell you on authority that the Zongo people, myself included, have been very impressed with the work that this Mills administration, headed by Vice President John Mahama, because he's been the one who was kind of in charge of all this activity, making sure that the Hajj committee has done the job that they're supposed to do, so that for the very first time we don't have those issues. In terms of issues of politicization, Hajj is a religious activity.
Exactly, because I was going to come back to the main question I asked in the first place, that being a Muslim yourself, knowing what it entails to perform the Hajj, what was the essence of bringing all the politics, and what was the NDC trying to achieve with all the politics they brought in?
Well, I don't know that it is the NDC who has politicized it.
Well, they started it.
Well, I don't know. I'll tend to disagree with that. The point is this: when you are doing something and you are actually providing a service meeting the needs of the people, and when you have done a good job, they need to know what provisions that you have made, as I mentioned, both locally and internationally. And that is what the NDC government has done. And it doesn't have anything to do with politicizing it. It has everything to do with letting people know, especially the Zongo people who consider the NDC government as pro-Muslims, as one that has an affinity, one that respects the Islamic religion, under whose governance that you have all these other things, privileges for Muslims, the holiday, the national imam, all these things. We don't need to go through it. But what I'm saying to you is that what the NDC government has done is to make sure that people are aware of all the good work that the NDC government is doing on behalf of the Muslims. As to whether it's being politicized or not, we are not doing that. Let me just take a moment to make a statement here.
I'll let you make that. But let me come to it. Let me get Richard introduced into the discussion and start with you, Richard. Richard, yes, indeed, of course, before the NDC came in, they made a lot of noise about how the NPP administration had handled the Hajj, the difficulties that the pilgrims had encountered, the fact that more often or not, some people are left behind and all. They came And of course, I'm sure most Muslims would agree that since they took over, at least the pilgrimage has been more incident-free, if I can put it that way.
My brother, it depends on where you sit. Like my brother, he is a member of NDC and also a Muslim and all that. They understand that. From where he speaks, indeed, one would not expect him to look at the negativities that were associated with the Hajj. However, before I proceed on, let me correct this impression that was created by my brother about the fact that people see NDC to be for the Muslims and not. My brother, we are living in one nation. Do you understand that? We are brothers and sisters, like the president usually use those terms. Do you understand that? Nobody can sit somewhere and say that NDC is for Muslims and MPP is for Christian or anything.
Well, he said they are pro-Muslims.
Let me make my decision, and I'm sure when you have anything, you can put them down. So that when we come back to making your comment, you can put those comments across. You see, indeed, my brother has paid a lot of lip service to the various issues and the questions that you ask, like NDC is normally known to do. They pay a lot of lip service to issues, but when it comes to practicality, putting those things into fruition, making sure that those things materialize, they do nothing about it. Let me look at what happens before the NDC came to power. Do you understand that? The various strategies that were put into place by the MPP administration, Kufuor-led administration concerning the Hajj. For us, the pivotal aspect of it was the vice president, who happened to represent the Muslim community at cabinet level. Nobody can doubt that. The vice president, Alhaji Aliu Muhammad, represented the Muslim community at cabinet. Do you understand that? So indeed, the MPP steered the Hajj affair like no other government has ever done. Do you understand that? We instituted the Hajj board. Before we came into power, there was nothing like Hajj board. We make it an autonomous body, where Muslims were supposed to mind the affairs of the Hajj. Do you understand that? Government assisted and provided them all the necessary information and material that would aid them. Talk about the Hajj village that was created for them. We know of the canopies that through the government assisted effort, Zoomlight provided for them, and all those sort of wonderful things that were put into place by the MPP government. This facilitated the Hajj process. You see, there's one thing that I want Ghanaians and politicians to appreciate. You see, governance is a continuing process. Do you understand that? So when you come in, one talks about the fact, okay, you've seen the lapses that have been that were created. So you come to sort of improve upon it. However, when you come and you make more mess out of the situation, and you cannot be forgiven. Do you understand? It becomes unpardonable situation.
So what then? Let me look at it as the mess. As far as this,
my brother, to be charitable with my brother, he said a lot of things that were far from the truth. Like. Then I talk about accommodation that we heard, and some of our Muslim brothers and sisters who were crying about the fact that when they got to Mecca, there was nothing like accommodation for them.
What year?
I'm talking about just the last Hajj. That was that
names of people.
Last year.
Oh, my brother, I'm not sure you're being fair with me. When you were speaking, I sat here. Just allow you to make all your comments.
Go ahead, make your
point. I think it will be very fair on your part to allow me to express my views,
so
that people will appreciate what I'm trying to put across. You see, there were problems, practical problems with accommodation when our brothers and sisters got to Mecca. You see, what we are saying is not about me saying what is the truth and he telling me that what I'm saying is not the truth. Do you understand that? The people out there are listening to us. They went through some of this ordeal, and these are the people who will give testimony about what they went through. Do you understand that? So indeed, for us, the two of us, you sit here and embellish the issues. Do you understand that? But the point is, these are hard facts. These are the things that happened. These are the realities on the ground. When the people got there, we heard of people who were moved from Accra here to Mecca. When they got there, they were deported back to Ghana because they did not have all the necessary documentation in terms of passports and all that. But I know you heard of
that. That one also was because, as far as the reports we had were concerned, most of the pilgrims didn't actually sign up with the Hajj board. They had other contractors or whatever come in to say they were helping them, and that's how come they got there and they didn't have the requisite.
How many of those people do you think went there because of contractors? The airlines that were provided for those people, which people provided those airlines for them? It wasn't not the Hajj board. Wasn't it through the assistance of the government that those airlines were provided for them? So how can somebody sit in the plane without a passport? was an indictment on the Hajj and even the nation Ghana.
Well,
you understand? And also the fact that some of these people who paid their money to the Hajj board had not their money has never been refunded back to them since they were deported back to Ghana. Do you understand that? So these are serious issues what we ought to look at. I hope you're getting me. Somebody will sit here and look at it and try and push the blame on some non-existing contractors. I don't know whether if I ask you to mention any contractors' name, you'll be able to mention. But politicians, when they get to the fact that the negativity is catching up with them, then all what they do is that they try to point at this in accusing fingers and also pontificate at other people that this person is the cause of this problem. However, the whole Hajj activities was entrusted in the hands of the Hajj board. It wasn't also.
Okay.
So why did they allow people? You see, these people who were acting as contractors, most of them happen to be cabinet communication teams and government officials. You understand? They happen to be contractors. So what you ought to know is that we're in this country, my brother. We know that Zoom Lion provides this tent that the Kufuor administration used for the AU summit in Ghana here. Do you understand that? This was what was used in the previous Hajjs that our Muslim brothers and sisters went for. Do you understand that? They use it for it. Indeed, when it got to the turn of NDC to organize this Hajj, one would expect that, okay, yeah, these are things that have been provided in place. Cheaper, do you understand that? And even some, at certain cases, Zoom Lion was going to give to them for free. Because people wanted to sort of enhance their finances, went to the extent of awarding contract to people to go and procure tents from China. Do you understand that? To Ghana. These ones came with high conditions. Do you understand that? However, the one that was provided for our brothers and sisters in the previous years had a condition by Zoom Lion. So why would people do this?
Do you have to
and this
the
cost,
fact that
but that's the truth.
People went to procure the tent.
That was, of course, it's the truth. Unless, my brother, I'll allow my brother to answer this question for me. Are you not aware that these tents were not procured from Ghana, but they were procured from China? And a contract was awarded to some company or group to do that.
Richard, I'm also asking you that same question.
You know the people who foot those bills? Well, the brothers and sisters who went for the Hajj. Yeah, of course. I'm telling you the truth.
Who procured which tent from China?
It's not the Hajj people. The NDC and its team of Hajj organizers. They procured this Hajj, these tents from China instead of going for what Zoom Lion could give to these people for free. Okay,
Alhaji, before we take our first commercial break though, one of the things the NDC accused the NPP of when they were organizing the Hajj was the fact that they were giving out protocol, they had a protocol list where people who really didn't make it or were originally had not gone through the entire meal, just got to go, and then that's how come people were left behind. And the NDC is handling it, and the same issues are coming up, and we are not getting any we are not getting any main resolve to these problems.
Well, as a matter of fact, let me just, correct some misimpressions made by my brother here. You see, first and foremost, what we are talking about here is actually a good news story about what has been happening under the Mills-led administration with the NDC. Yes, it is true. Under the Kufuor, led government, the Hajj board was created. And, I think it's something to be commended for, that he did the right thing, so that it's in the hands of the Muslims to take care of that. But beyond that, those things, as you mentioned, some of the issues that were there, yes, we came in, the problems that they had, we had fixed a lot of the problems. What problems am I talking about? Lost luggage, where you have a lot of people's, just this last year, some of the things that were lost from 2, 3, 4 years ago, some of the luggage just came in. But I would challenge you to talk to any of the Hajj, pilgrimages that made Hajj last year, if they had anything lost. Not a single luggage was lost, and that is because of the kind of work, the task forces that we have both internationally on the ground over there and here in Ghana. Now, as to the issue about the procurement, the award of contracts to buy, tents without air conditioners and all those kind of things. One thing that you need to remember also is that this time around, we had airlifted more pilgrims this past year in 2011, more than at any other time.
Yeah, some 4,300.
Yes, more than at any other time, and that necessitated the need to get more tents. Okay, the need to get more tents. Okay, now as to who, what awarded the contract, I would just say that the onus is on you to provide any evidence. Any evidence to say that any misappropriation or irregularities happened. Now, is the Hajj affair or the committee doing the very best that they can? I think by and large, yes. Can we improve? Okay. Definitely we can improve. Right. But I can tell you that it is a marked improvement from the 2008 era. 2009, we've made improvements on the 2010, and then on 2011 we made improvements on the in 2010. Okay. So the story here is that we, the Muslims, are quite happy with the work that is being done. Are we completely happy?
All right.
Yeah,
so
we still have work that we need to do.
At
this point,
is one of the few happy ones among the Muslim community. Do you understand that? And indeed, possibly, maybe my brother enjoyed a VVIP treatment on his pilgrimage. Do you understand?
No. Okay, well, let's finish the discussion on the politics surrounding the Hajj pilgrimage that our Muslim brothers embark on every year. In the studio with me, Richard Asante Yeboah. He's a member of the NPP's communications team, and also Alhaji Haruna Rashid Ibrahim, who is a member of the NDC and president and CEO of Amana Energy Group. Now we'll be going shortly over, we'll be crossing over to speak to Ben Efson, managing editor of the Daily Dispatch and a pollster. But then before we do that, let's take a video insert from the Minority Caucus during the week, and I'm asking whether the Greater Accra region is also falling to the NPP, as they made us believe that the Upper West region is falling for them. Let's take that video. We'll be back and speak to
the main constituencies in Greater Accra. It is only 8 of them which can be classified as a rural or a typical indigenous community whose vote pattern or voting decisions goes beyond just socio-economic conditions, or they are guided by ethnocentric and party affiliation. Yes. And I can tell you that this region is continually going to be a swing region. It doesn't matter the propaganda you do. It doesn't matter how many media houses and media personnel you buy to do propaganda. The fact is that because people living here, lives are directly affected by economic policies and programs. Yes. Okay, they are obviously going to be driven by that in deciding whoever becomes their leader, and that is why parties that get the opportunity to be in government must be mindful of their social contract that they had with the people in the previous elections. And I can tell you, from the look of things, I don't see, maybe perhaps in those 8 rural areas, incumbency and ethnocentric sentiments can perhaps preach the government. But we have 19 constituencies that are highly fluid, and I'm choosing my words here, highly fluid. Okay, and from the political microscope, I can tell you, there is no way the NDC can beat us to it. Those 8 constituencies, I'm sure they may, even that. But with the remaining 19, I can tell you, the best you can get is about 3 or 4, and the remaining 15 or 16 going for the NPP.
Okay, you're welcome back, and I guess we can cross over and speak to Mr. Efson now. Hello, good evening, and thank you for joining us, Mr. Efson.
Thank you, Nee.
If you can kindly reduce the volume on your TV set, we're having some feedback.
Okay, yeah. Then please speak up a bit because the phone line is a bit faint, so yeah, I can hear you through the phone. All right, sure. Okay, now the NPP is looking at sweeping about 16 or more seats in the Greater Accra region. First of all, I just want to find out how feasible is that. They think the NDC can only bank their hopes on about the 8 rural Accra seats. How feasible is that? Well, I think that by their own logic and argument, it presupposes that perhaps in 2008, when the NPP was in power, their performance, their policies did not. There are 7 seats which can be traditionally classified as swing.
Okay.
Now, Greater Accra, Western Centre, these are 3 regions that toe line of governments which will win. The seats which are swing in Greater Accra are Trobu Amasaman, Odododo, Klotikoli, Lojokuku, Krowo, and Adenta.
Okay.
Now, there are 3 areas which could also swing in 2012. Ayawaso West Wagon.
Okay.
This is a seat which is held by the NPP.
Yeah.
But why it could swing is that there are a few problems within the NPP camp.
In that constituency?
In that constituency, you know, the current candidate who was elected, Mr. Jakon, was the MPP candidate in Lower Manya.
Exactly.
Now, when he lost, he came over, contested the primary, and won. Now, there have been some long-standing persons like Amu, who have been contested since 1996.
Yeah.
And that will depend on how they assuage and solve the bad feeling within that constituency. Another constituency is Ablekuma South,
okay,
which is being held by the NDC now. That is a very swing. That's a constituency that has been won to some extent by the MPP until 2008 when Fritz Bafo and the NDC won that constituency. Even though Fritz Bafo and the NDC won the parliamentary, the MPP won the presidential. That is a constituency which is up for grabs, and that is a constituency that will be determined on certain factors which will come into play, including ethnicity.
Okay.
Another constituency which has traditionally been won by the MPP and which could swing is Tema West. If Mr. Abraham Osedu, who is a former member of parliament, former majority leader, who has had a beef with the way he was treated in 2008, if he decides to contest as an independent parliamentary candidate, as he's threatening to do, then Mr. Fosampofu will win the seat and beat the incumbent NPP MP, Ms. Toshi Adu. Now, Smart, one of the things that the political parties also need to bear in mind is the impact of apathy. Like, there are some seats which we all know NDC will win, which we know MPP will win. But if you're not careful and you don't play your cards well, in 2008, there are 9 constituencies in Greater Accra that if you compare the votes with Mr. Kufuor's performance in 2004, Nana Akufo-Addo lost 118,218 votes in the first round. And you need to bear in mind that Nana needed less than 24,000 votes to win. Let me give you a few examples. In Weja, MPP won that seat. But Nana lost 20,188. Ablekuma North, MPP won that seat, parliamentary. Nana lost 13,000 plus. Tema East, MPP won parliament, Nana lost 13,000. Tema West, the same 13,000. Ablekuma South, 12,000. Awasu Central, IC Quays area. So Greater Accra is up for grabs.
Okay.
And they are not won by sitting on TV, but hard work on the ground.
So as it stands now, you don't think that any of the 2 parties can actually lay claim to taking the majority of the seats in the Greater Accra region in particular?
Well, as of now, the work will be ongoing. Around October, we would have drawn a conclusion to most of the parliamentary seats.
Okay.
Because another effect that we need to bear in mind for most of these swing constituencies is that if independent candidates failed, if there's a problem within the party and independent candidates failed, you know, parliament elections are first past the post. So for most of these close constituencies, we actually do the last roundup when the Electoral Commission closes the filing of nominations. Then we do the last roundup, because when independent candidates fall, they just take away some of the seats meant for a particular party's parliamentary candidate.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Benefsin, for speaking to us tonight.
Thank you.
We're just speaking to Mr. Benefsin, who is a pollster and the managing editor of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Let me take your initial reaction to what Mr. Efsin said. For him, there are 7 swing seats. Trobo Amasaman, Odududu, Klotekole, Lejukuku, Krowo, and Adenta. And his thinking, Ayawaso West, Ablekuma South, Tema West could swing this time round.
I'm happy it was his opinion. You understand that? And indeed, opinions are like, you know, everybody's entitled to his. And Uncle Ben articulated his opinion per what he thinks he sees. Do you understand that? Obviously, he cannot be seen as a Bible, so whatever he says cannot be taken in whole. But let me make my point here. Indeed, some of the points that he said have the exact thing than the realities. Do you understand that? Issues about independence and all those sort of things. Indeed, 2008, MPP lost the election primarily because we had a lot of people aggrieved in terms of parliamentary primaries, the issues that came out and the way we managed it.
And there were some same issues came up again this year.
This is a human institution. This is politics, this is human institution. You see that I'm talking about the management. Those issues will come up. It's like husband and wife affair. You might have 1 or 2 blows with your wife, issues in terms of argument and all that, but the way and manner you handle it shows how manly you are. Do you understand that? And indeed, like Ashanti Regional, in 2008, we have about 17 people going as independent candidates. This time around, these things have been managed very well by the front bearer of our party. I hope you're getting me. In terms of uniting the front of the party and uniting the various constituencies, MPP has done very well. Indeed, there are some spots like Uncle Ben did mention. But indeed, a lot of efforts are being put in to make sure that every single issue that have come up will be resolved. Do you understand that? Okay. We are leaving no stone unturned. Every single, even a pin will be turned this time around to make sure that we win massively. Indeed, let me look at the areas that Uncle Ben mentioned. You see, you talk about Ayawaso, West Wogon.
Yeah.
Indeed, Emmanuel Ajakon is our parliamentary candidate.
Candidate-elect, yeah.
This seat has been in the hands of MPP for like 8 years in a row now. From
Freema still has it.
Yeah, do you understand? And he's going to hand over the baton to Mr. Ajakon to continue with the victory. You see, what we ought to appreciate is that this time around, the victory that MPP is going to chop is going to be so massive, so gangantua that people will be quite surprised. Indeed, our brothers in the in NDC are already shivering because of the way and manner we've been able to organize ourselves. And people are struggling in this country. Do you understand that? The election that we are going into in 2012 is going to be on bread and butter issues. Do you understand, my brother?
Richard, your fortunes in Parliament, particularly in the Greater Accra region, have not been very stable. In 1996, you had 8 seats.
Yeah.
In 2000, you increased it to 15 seats. 2004, of course, you added 1, you got 16 seats. In 2008, you dropped to 10 seats.
Yeah.
That was even when, that was coming on the back of your administration having been in power.
Yeah.
And just about exiting, and you came down to 10.
Accra, really? The pattern over here is quite funny. Do you understand that? That's why you can say it does not belong to any political party. Do you understand? But this time around, we are convinced that MPP is winning no less than 17 seats.
But for the Tema West seat, for instance, that's one of your strongholds for some time now. Abraham Oseidu is threatening to go independent.
But that's what I'm saying. There's still time to manage all these things.
And if he does go independent, the votes are going to split.
Trust me.
Because Oseidu is also contesting
believing in me, he's not going to go. You see, the party coming from this in the 2008 and the various mistakes and lapses that were created and the way and manner we manage it, which we did not manage well in my point of view as a person. Do you understand that? This time around, we are guided by all those mistakes. Do you understand that? Okay. You see, we are going to manage these things so effectively well that the people who are aggrieved with the party they will come to terms and appreciate the fact that indeed we are not going to battle with ourselves. We are going to, in terms of battle, in terms of political, it's not like with war, guns and all those. I want people to understand my words and the construction I'm making it. This day and age, any way that you use, people misconstrue it and all that. Okay. You see, what we are going, the 2012 elections are going to be among ourselves. But we are going into this with our brothers NDC and CPP and other political parties. So we need to know that we have to put every sort of grievances that have been hanging around our necks down aside. And know that, you see,
let me come to Elijah. We're running out of time.
I'm just making my last 30 seconds. In 30 seconds.
Okay.
What I want people to appreciate is that MPP is bigger than the individual ambitions and aspirations. MPP is greater than our difference of birth and where we come from. They understand that the ultimate responsibility lies on us party members and us people to make sure that the party come back to power, to make sure that Ghana and the good people of this nation sort of get themselves redeemed from the difficulties that NDC has planted us into.
All right, I am Alhaji.
Yes,
you have 17 seats right now in Parliament.
Yes.
For the Greater Accra region.
Yes, we do.
The MPP is looking at taking at least 19. Mr. Efson thinks, of course, the 7 swing ones are there. Out of the 27, there are the 7 swing ones, and 3 that could also swing.
That's right. Now, you know, we've heard my good friend here, Richard, talk about what they intend to do, how they intend to manage. In his submission, he talks about blows between husband and wife and the battle and all those things. And very interestingly, what Uncle Ben Efson talked about is that nothing needs to be taken for granted. And that is how the NDC is going to not only retain the 17, but actually increase those numbers. We are not taking anything for granted. Now, first and foremost, we will continue to deliver on the promises that we've made in 2008 that we have delivered in the 3 years going into the 4th year. And that is how we're going to do it, constituency by constituency, going, you know, foot to foot, making sure that the needs of the people are, you know, are addressed. Whether it has to do with, you know, making sure that there are accommodations for schools from under tree, okay, whether it's infrastructure development, whether it's, hospitals and all those things that really talk to people, the things that matter to people. We are not talking about managing, you know, issues among, you know, parties. We are talking about delivering upon those promises that we've made, delivering upon those services that mean something to people. And like I mentioned, those are the things that we are going to be doing.
We talk about delivering on promises, but both Michael Ampong and Alhaji Fofana, who are here, they think your constituency, for instance, they think you really have failed the people, and they are not interested in giving their reposing their trust in the NDC for this year.
Look, I can tell you, as a member, someone who was born and raised in that constituency in Nima. In fact, I just came from an NDC meeting before I got here. One thing that I can tell you is this.
Sound like somebody from Nima talk.
Why is that particular way to say?
Yeah. Madam, I was born and raised in Nima. Why?
My brother doesn't sound.
Give me a chance.
This is New York version of Nima.
Okay, let him make it so.
I did not interrupt you, my brother. I did not interrupt you. See, when you talk about specifically in East Ayawaso, Alhaji Fofana, who's a good friend, would tell you that, you know, the Mills administration has delivered for the Zongo people of Nima, Mamobi, Kanda, Ruga, Newtown. You know, the evidence is very clear. One of the first things that, you know, has been done in the past year is to make sure that we have retired that road. We've put new asphalt from in front of Nana Akufo-Addo's house at Nima Police Station all the way to Accra Girls. We have done that. And that is something that the Kufuor administration has failed to do in the 8 years that they were there. Okay, that's one thing. Secondly, we have upgraded Mamobi Polyclinic now to a Mamobi General Hospital. That is something else that we have done. And then when you go to Caucus, the drainage system, that is being worked on right now. So I don't know what it is that Alhaji Yusuf Fofana is listening to or he's looking at. But I'll be again. Let me just go back.
Just let me open the phone lines let me announce the phone numbers for our viewers who can also join us. The numbers 0302-211-701, 0302-211-702. The phone lines are now active.
And then we take into account. Yes, there are swing, constituencies, swing seats, and that is the reason why we do not believe that you can win the seats by staying here on air, on television, and making all kinds of pronouncements. We believe that you do that on the ground, just in line with our social democratic principles, going there at the grassroots level, being with the people, knowing what their headaches are, and then delivering on those promises, making sure that we meet their requests. And then we're going to do that constituency by constituency. We are not taking anything for granted.
All right, Jonathan from Bongo is on the line. Good evening, Jonathan, and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Ayore.
I've forgotten.
Yes, Bongo Naba is greeting you. Say Naba.
Thank you, Naba.
Yes,
good. I'll write it down.
Now, Sanuka Day.
Yade.
Alhamdulillah.
In fact, I'm very much glad to be aware that you are not and you are also a Muslim.
Yes.
As somebody who is also coming from a Muslim family, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
But me, tonight, I must be frank with Alhaji Haruna that, in fact, I'm not impressed with him. Just as Richard said, he's a New York Nima Zongo man, but not actually from Nima. I'm telling you something. You are saying the NDC party is for Zongos. But are you aware the NDC came and promised the people of North that when they win, they are going to bring Sada? Are you aware that they promised the people of Dagon that if they win, they will make sure that they bring the Killers of Yana's book? Are you aware that they promised me, who is in Bongo here, that if they win, they will make sure that they construct the road from Boulder to Bongo here? Are you aware that they promised the people of the North that if they come into power, they will make sure that everything is well with them? And what is happening today? So in fact, I've been saying that the NDC is a political party for the North, and or it's a political party for the Zongos or the Muslims. I'm telling that it's not a fact. I voted for the NDC during 2000 election, during 2004 election, but now I'm telling the NDC that come 2012, there's no way they'll get my vote as well as my family vote, because they've totally failed the people of Upper East as well as Upper West and the Northern region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. You didn't tell me how to say bye-bye, but next time I hope you tell me. Mark is on the line. Let me take Mark. Hello, Mark. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening.
Yes, Mark, where are you calling from?
Hamansu in the Volta region.
Okay, go ahead. Keep it brief for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please, what I want to say is that, look, we all live in Ghana, and we've experienced so many governments. We, the people of Volta region, especially Hamansu, where NDC says it is their World Bank, we started voting for NDC not today. Man, if you know Volta region, we are neglected. It doesn't even show that NDC knows where Volta region is. Man, have you ever come to Hamansu?
No, I haven't.
The State of Nations address, what President Merz said, His Excellency President Merz said, there is nothing showing that Volta has benefited from whatever he has said. Look, we were part of youth employment. They sack all of us. Meanwhile, we were in the bush, guarding the ballot boxes, ensuring that MPP will not see less, doing what? But MPP sympathize with us, they pick us, put us in youth employment. They sack us. The little money we are getting, I was so surprised to hear that President Merz went to Nima buying Kente at 50% without taking the pepper. Why wouldn't he take the pepper so that he knows how hot the pepper is when we are taking it?
All right,
we shouldn't
Mark,
each other.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. We have to come back to Accra and pick John. Hello, John.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you too?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so shocked about the way the NDC is so engage in propaganda as if they are in opposition. And sometimes I feel very, very, very amazed and surprised that they're bringing these young people on air sometimes who come to talk about things that they don't have the experience and the backbone to support. Take, for example, we've been trumpeting the issue of inflation. National status is fine. That's good. But I personally don't see it reflected in my pocket. Take, for example, the cost of Gari. One city, a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it's now 2 cities. That's 50% or 100% increase. We are talking about bread and butter, and people come on to speak on the NDC communication team, and sometimes I get so angry when I see this young teenage people. I'm not talking about Alaji, but I'm talking about the people like the Felix Kwachi, the other. When they come on air, they're very insulting.
John, if you can wrap it up
people
quickly.
that are making very inflammatory languages about people that are old enough to be their fathers. That's not the kind of people we want to see on television.
Okay, thank you very much.
Propaganda.
Thank you very much, John. I have to go to Nkranza and take Abdullah Mohammed. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Or do I say salam alaikum?
Yeah, good evening. Even though I'm speaking from Nkranza, but I'm a native of Tamale.
Okay.
And I just want to take this opportunity to greet Alhaji sitting there. But this is the first time I'm seeing him live. But I just want to tell MPP that, Alhaji shouldn't talk so much. The people of Ghana are seeing what NDC is doing. And I want to assure him that, even though I'm speaking from Nkranza, I'm a native of Tamale, in the northern region. The regional hostel that the NDC has put up, I'm sure for even the hostel alone, nobody will think of any other party than NDC. So I'm telling Alhaji that he shouldn't talk too much. The people of Ghana have seen what NDP have done, and they are seeing what NDC has done within the 3 years. And I assure him that he shouldn't talk too much. In 2012, everybody will see what the NDC has done. We are coming out to vote NDC massively. So he shouldn't talk too much. He should talk small and weak. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Abdullah Mohammed, for your call. Now we are just wrapping up, so I'll take your final words. Since you want to talk first, you go first.
It's
1 minute.
Okay, in 1 minute. And you see, it's quite exciting to know that NDC people are still tackling themselves and laughing. Do you understand that? Indeed, the good people of this nation are going to vote based on the realities on the ground, what they are facing. Do you understand that? When they go to the market to buy cement, how much is being sold now? I hope you're getting. As we speak, cement is being sold at 17 Ghana cedis. Do you understand that? How much are they buying their Gary, which used to cost them 1 Ghana? Now 2 Ghana cedi or 2 Ghana 50 pesos. Accommodation, my brother, accommodation has moved beyond 300%. I hope you're getting in terms of the increment. When you talk about school fees, people are paying, the school fees people are paying in excess of 400% in terms of the school fees. Currently, as we speak, we have a government in place where people are going to school and now they are supposed to demand from students, freshers and all that, and even continuous students, cement, iron rocks, paint and all that. This is unheard of. At Ghana, at the age of 55 years, we have 5 years to go on retirement, assuming Ghana is supposed to be a human being. If at this age, we have a president who promises A and gives us B, the president has never been able to fulfill any of the promise he made to Ghana. When I talk about Greater Accra, the president told us that when he comes, the first 100 days, Accra will be kept out of filth.
Your 1 minute is up.
The filth that we talk about, within the first 100 days, cholera outbreak caught up with Accra.
Okay, thank you very much.
So what I want NDC to realize is that this election, the good people will show them the red card.
Sure, okay.
But the president himself has shown himself red card. Because even when he says,
Richard,
when he raised the red flags, what you mean is duping us.
Thank you very much. And as my brother Abdullah mentioned, one of the things that we have to let people see is experience it for themselves. It's not that we are not going to win this contest on air, making all kinds of unsubstantiated allegations, things that cannot be supported. The people of this country, and indeed internationally, are aware of the good governance of the Mills administration. We have a very stable economy. We have a very secure country. We have over and over again today. We have heard Christine Lagarde, the director of the IMF, congratulating our president Atta Mills for his good governance and how we are managing the economy. And then also, all you have to do is look around you and see all the work that is going on, so that we will not allow the MPP to come and throw any dust in our eyes. What I say to you is that look at what is happening. Look at what is happening. What I also,
your 1 minute is also up.
The last thing that I will say.
Obama does not.
Let him say. Okay.
If I may, the last thing that I will say is that please, my brothers and sisters, go out there and make sure you have your driver's license and your voter ID card to make sure that you go do the voter registration, the biometric registration, so that we will put this in the the good governance of the Mills administration and keep the elephants in the bush.